Welcome in, CSBs. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an intro to Freakonomics before you guys start reading the book. I'm really stoked to read Freakonomics. It's a totally different way of looking at economics. I think when we tend to think of economics, we think of like some really boring stuff. You know, like macro, micro, GDP, what does it all mean? How does trade work? Things like that. But these guys take a completely different approach. And it's so unique, in fact, I want to see if we can put it to the test. But first, I want to dive into a part of the intro that is, to me, at the heart of the book, and how we're going to see if we can use the concepts of Freakonomics to just about anything. So I really want to put it to the test. So I've got the intro partly pulled up here as a PDF, and I'm just going to read parts of it because some of it's really important. This isn't a book about the cost of chewing gum versus campaign spending per se, or about disingenuous real estate agents, or the impact of legalized abortion on crime. It will certainly address these scenarios and dozens more, from the art of parenting to the mechanics of cheating, from the inner workings of a crack-selling gang to racial discrimination on the weakest link. What this book is about is stripping a layer or two from the surface of modern life and seeing what is happening underneath. We will ask a lot of questions, some frivolous and some about life and death issues. The answers may often seem odd, but after the fact, also rather obvious. We will seek out these answers in the data, whether those data come in the form of school children's test scores or New York City's crime statistics or a crack dealer's financial records. Often, we will take advantage of patterns in the data that were incidentally left behind, like an airplane's sharp contrail in a high sky. It is well and good to opine or theorize about a subject, as humankind is wont to do. But when moral posturing is replaced by an honest assessment of the data, the result is often a new, surprising insight. What's crazy to me is this book was written, I think, over a decade ago, and you really look at the language that he's using, and I feel like today, maybe he wouldn't have been able to predict this, but today, data in computer science and marketing, all those kinds of things, is so huge. And it's, you know, there's whole careers dedicated to just looking at data. And I just found it very interesting that he brings that into economics and looking at patterns, because that's kind of what data and data scientists do. Anyway, continuing on. Morality, it could be argued, represents the way that people would like the world to work, whereas economics represents how it actually does work. Economics is above all a science of measurement. It comprises an extraordinarily powerful and flexible set of tools that can reliably access a thicket of information to determine the effect of any one factor, or even the whole effect. That's what the economy is, after all, a thicket of information about jobs and real estate and banking and investment. But the tools of economics can be just as easily applied to subjects that are more, well, interesting, more interesting. This book, then, has been written from a very specific worldview, based on a few fundamental ideas. What the authors are saying is that the tools of economics can be applied to multiple subjects, to different types of things. So I want to see if we can rise to that challenge. Here are the fundamental ideas for which we have to use or to base off of this challenge. Okay? And I'm just going to read what's in italics. Incentives are the cornerstone of modern life. The conventional wisdom is often wrong. Dramatic effects often have distant, even subtle causes. experts, from criminologists to real estate agents, use their informational advantage to serve their own agenda. And last, knowing what to measure and how to measure it makes a complicated world much less so. So here's how I want to test this. These ideas, okay? These ideas. I want to see if we can find evidence of these ideas in a story, a tale that is thousands of years old and comes from the Middle East. This story I pulled out from this book. I found this book in a I hope you can see it. I found this book in a antique store, and it was just, you know, a few bucks, and basically it's all these tales of Sufi tales and they're called the Dervishes from the past 1,000 years. And this story that you're going to read, it's in here in your discussion. So piece right below this video, you'll be able to see the story. The story is called The Time, the Place, and the People. And it's just a really short, short story. It's 2 and like 3/4 pages long. Okay. So pretty short, pretty small book. After you're done reading it, down here in the bottom, I've relisted the fundamental ideas. So see if you can find evidence from this 1,000-year-old story from the Middle East of incentives are the cornerstone of modern life. The conventional wisdom is often wrong. Dramatic effects often have distant, even subtle causes. Experts use their informational advantage to serve their own agenda. Knowing what to measure and how to measure it makes a complicated world much less so. I'm going to not only put my money that you'll be able to find one of these in this story, I'm going to double down and say that you can find 2. So find 2 examples of, or one each. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Let me back up. Find 2 of these ideas, different ideas from the list, this list of 5 that I just read in this story. I bet you'll be able to find 2. And then after you reply that and you put that into the thread, what have other students found? Comment on at least 2 that you found interesting, and why they were interesting to you. And maybe because you hadn't thought of it, or just what the student had to say was, that was cool. Okay? So good luck. Let's see if we can put the authors, Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dubner, to the test. Can we apply these 5 fundamental ideas of economics to a 1,000-year-old dervish tale?